What's going on, everybody? What are you feeling tonight? I'll react to the Celtics losing. Being out of the playoffs, this was the time slot for you to listen to positive Celtics and factual Celtics information. And I'll have more of that throughout the night and throughout the summer. But our changes ahead. I think they are. We'll get into that. I got some Red Sox thoughts as well that I want to get into as they are playing right now without their manager, who went to their child's graduation and not with the team tonight. So very interesting to see how the team performs tonight without their manager. Oh, just a lot to get into. Some NFL news, a plethora of NFL news. I did get a chance to watch the Patriots YouTube show. And I will have a reaction tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk to Evan Lazar, Patriots.com. We'll get his thoughts on it. I think I saw Evan on a commercial recently that I might have to ask him about, which will be fun. So, a lot going on tonight. We got In or Out. We got Musings. We got a new intern. His name's Luke. Shout out to Luke, the intern from Belmont. That's all I know about him. Skaz is here as well. We'll give you reactions to everything that's happening. So, the Celtics season was a failure, everybody. I sat here and told you that they're going to repeat. I told you they're the best team in the league. Told you that nobody can beat them in a 7-game series. I called them front runners and said that it was a good thing. I love Missoula ball. So I told you all those things. I thought the Celtics were special. And they're not. They were a 60-win team for back-to-back seasons. They shot the most and hit the most threes ever in a season. They had the best road record in the regular season, all while defending a title. All those things were true. But in the end, they defended the title, but the way that they lost it was absolutely epic. 3 blown 20-point leads that led to losses. All season long, I told you that rebounding and defense and points in the paint were their biggest issues this year, and it showed in this series. But what happened in Game 6, I'm not even going to give you really any analysis. Tip your cap to the New York Knicks. They had an opportunity to close out the Celtics, and you know what? The Celtics tapped out. I told you all last year that the Celtics would get out to a big lead, and the rest of the teams would tap out. I got on the Heat without Jimmy Butler, who was hurt, and I said they tapped out without him. When Donovan Mitchell got hurt for the Cavs, I told you the Cavs tapped out. And when Halliburton got hurt for the Pacers, they lost, they tapped out. The Celtics played with zero Celtic pride in Game 6. Jaylen Brown did whatever he could, but fouled out in the third quarter. They played with no pride. It was the Celtics this time that tapped out. Tapped out so much that they played their bench players in the third quarter. And to say it louder for the people that want to call us green teamers and that we don't believe in anything that the Celtics can do wrong. Again, we work in fact in this show. The Celtics tapped out to the New York Knicks. Let that sink in. The Celtics made every team in the NBA tap out with their style of play, getting out to big leads, and then was it them stepping on their throat, or was it the other teams tapping out? Was it easy paths? I don't know. At this point, all I know is the Celtics tapped out to the New York Knicks, and I've had 4 days now. 4 nights. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, tonight's Monday. I've had all this time to actually be able to say it and believe it, because I couldn't for a couple of days. I couldn't believe that potentially the New York Knicks ended the Celtics era. How does that make you feel, Celtics fans? The Celtics made everybody tap out, but the team that tapped them out was the Knicks. Now, I want to get into Joe Mazzulla coming up in a little bit, but Brad Stevens on what went wrong against New York. The reality is we blew the first two games, and that's what we put ourselves in a tough spot. Why did you put yourself in those tough spots, Brad? Why? So I ask, is this an end of an era? I think so. It's hard to repeat in the NBA. I thought this was a special team. I thought they were special. Now, the NBA will have a seventh different champion in a span of 7 seasons for the first time in league history. 2 of the NBA's Final 4, Indiana, Minnesota, have never won an NBA championship. The other 2, well, New York Knicks and the Thunder, who were the Sonics, last one in the 70s. It's hard to repeat in the NBA. It's no excuse for the Celtics, though. It's no excuse. They were up big and blew leads. Maybe they did cheat the game a little bit, as Brian Scalabrine said. We've had some time to really think about it. It wasn't about the injuries. It wasn't that Jaylen Brown had a knee issue or the wrist injury or Porzingis. It was none of that. They had huge leads that they could have protected, and they didn't. And I do want to tip my cap once again to the New York Knicks, who were resilient, came back from multiple double-digit leads. But you know what I really respect them for more than anything? They never tapped out. They weren't scared. And really, their coach outcoached the Celtics. I want to get into Joe Mazzulla's future. He was absolutely outcoached and outplayed. The out of timeouts was an absolute masterclass by Tom Thibodeau. But for those who haven't heard it yet from me, especially in this time slot I was on yesterday, I thought the Celtics were special. They weren't. They were one of the best teams of the regular season. They were. They were loaded. They had the team back together that won a championship last year. They were supposed to have the motivation from slights from the offseason. What are they going to say now? The Jason Tatum USA, Jaylen Brown USA. They were supposed to come back better, stronger. They graduated. And over the weekend, I started to think about it. Jaylen Brown played to his potential a year ago, and nobody could beat the Celtics. Nobody could. I don't even think Joe Mazzulla could have got in the way of what the Celtics were last year. I'm almost wondering if this year he did get in the way. And on the body of work, losing in a Game 7 at home to Miami, winning a championship, and then losing to the New York Knicks? You got to look somewhere at some point, because this year it was a fail. The Celtics were special. But again, there'll be another champion now. 7 straight years. We'll open it up there at 617-779-0985. What do the Celtics do going forward here? Brad Stevens spoke at a press conference today, and, well, I got some thoughts on Joe Mazzulla. I am curious what the Celtics will do, and I got a plan for you. I got an off-season plan. We'll do all that next. We'll hear from Skaz as well. I'm Joe Murray. You're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Right now, see 69 people watching right now. Nice. In case you didn't hear my opening take, I thought the Celtics were special. Another 60-win season, all in this year, returning team. Porzingis was playing great down the stretch. Tatum had the best year of his career. Jaylen Brown was going to turn it on. I thought they were special. And they lost to the New York Knicks. They tapped out to the New York Knicks. The thing that I have been applauding that the Celtics have done to other teams happened to them. So, I got to take the smoke right now. I thought they were special. And I think you guys did too. Like, losing to the New York Knicks is an embarrassment. I'm sorry. Giving up multiple 20-point leads is embarrassing. Like, the national media would say things about the Celtics and people would get upset about it. We'd troll them. They were right. I did think at times the philosophy was bad. It not so much the 3-point philosophy. The wasted possession philosophy is what bothered me. There were times where I thought the team was tired and was jacking up threes and nobody was rebounding, etc. If you really sat me in a room and, hey, Joe, how do you really I don't want to use the term gun to my head, but hey, Joe, what was the reason why the Celtics lost? I'm going to tell you that they got killed on the boards and they played no defense. That's what I'll tell you. So whether it's their philosophy or not, I think their philosophy could have still won games. But if they played defense and rebounded, they wouldn't blow 20-point leads. That's my take on it, but then I'm trying to own up to the fact that the Celtics disappointed and was a failure. They did tap out. They had no Celtic pride. This team should have been special. They weren't. They gave up multiple 20-point leads to the New York Knicks. They were outcoached by Tom Thibodeau, who was probably going to be fired. Now he's got them to the Eastern Conference Finals. If he loses there, he still has his job probably. Celtics got outplayed and outcoached. Joe Mazzulla said this quote, "This is the price you pay for going after something." And that's just the way it goes. The price you pay for what, Joe? Going after what? Scal had a quote about cheating the game. Using analytics, maybe. The Celtics were frontrunners a year ago. I thought the philosophy could work in this league. The path didn't get in their way last year. Joe Mazzulla couldn't get in their way last year. I do think he did this year. This is what I would do. You have Joe Mazzulla under contract. I would make a call to Mike Malone. Make a call. Just see what he thinks. Maybe he takes a year off. He had an issue with the GM. I think he's the best X's and O's coach available. I think you just make the call. I'm not saying you fire Mazzulla. Make a call. Listen to him. I'd rather Mazzulla over Frank Vogel, who I think is very good. Sam Cassell interests me. Who's calling for him right now? They need an X and O guy on that bench. They lost Jeff Van Gundy. They lost him. I think it's what's best for the team is to support Mazzulla or go with Mike Malone. Brad Stevens today in a press conference said Joe's great. Joe's done a great job. Maybe we should grab those quotes for this show. Joe's great. Joe's done a great job. There were moves the Celtics could make. I'll get into those coming up in a minute here. Skaz, I'm going to bring you in on this one. The quote from Joe Mazzulla after the loss was, "This is the price you pay after going after something." And that's just the way it goes. Scal had that quote we talked about the other night regarding cheating the game. I would make a call to Mike Malone. Not saying fire Mazzulla. I'm saying make a call, see where he's at, do some research. I would rather Mazzulla over Frank Vogel or a retread. Sam Cassell does interest me. I just don't know if that's the move. I think I'd rather Mazzulla. I do think they need another X's and O's guy. They did lose Van Gundy. Maybe they need another type like that. I do think this offseason they kind of consider, if they are going to make changes, they need to support Joe Mazzulla. If not, I would call Mike Malone. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's, obviously something worth discussing. So we're under the belief that this upcoming season would be Mazzulla's last under contract.
We're assuming that.
So for me, I get the Mike Malone thing, won a title. Mazzulla also won a title. Seemed like Malone kind of had a falling out with management there in Denver. For me, though, whatever you feel about Mazzulla, you can say he's had a pretty good roster since he, maybe a very good to great roster since he started as head coach of the Celtics. You're not going to be able to say that next year. So I think you got to ride this year out with Joe Mazzulla. I think you find out maybe the most about Joe Mazzulla this upcoming season with, a roster that doesn't have Jason Tatum, that's going to have a hampered Jaylen Brown, probably without Porzingis, without Holiday, who knows, maybe no Cornette, no Horford. So for me, I think next year is a massive year for Joe Mazzulla. If they don't extend him this offseason, that's kind of the show me year where, can the Celtics compete for a 4 to 5 seed in a weak Eastern Conference? There's a lot of rumors around Giannis. If Giannis leaves the East, who's the best player in the Eastern Conference? Is it Brunson? Is it Paolo Banchero? The East is not going to be very good next year. The Celtics with Jaylen Brown and Pritchard and Derek White, I think they could be a 4 to 5 seed if Mazzulla can do a good job. So yeah, I'm not moving on from Joe Mazzulla. I think next year is a very big year for finding out, exactly who Joe Mazzulla, the coach, is without, Jason Tatum.
Well, I think we discussed this already, but the Mazzulla offense can work during the regular season. I think it will work. So, to your points, guys, if next year they're without Tatum and who knows if they miss any time with Brown, the offense will work. It's about the playoffs. They need an X's and O's guy. Maybe Van Gundy was helping out there. I think that.
Well, see, the problem to me is when people say, his plays aren't great, is out after timeouts.
Oh, there was the worst
plays aren't good.
I think that Lift Shots gave me some stat that it was the worst of all time.
So the part that frustrates me with that is he has maybe the best guy in the world, in the NBA, above him in Brad Stevens. So, it's crazy to say some of that's on Brad, but at some point,
it is on Brad.
He's the resource. He's the guy. If Mazzulla is struggling at those things, that does kind of fall on Brad Stevens' shoulders to intervene.
Can I ask you another one? I think the lack of front court help was a problem for Brad.
So yeah, this is something me and Stu talked about last night, where Brad Stevens, and rightfully so, has gotten tons of credit for building this roster and, winning a title, all that, got over the hump that Danny Ainge couldn't. But I think the one thing that you can point at Brad Stevens and say this is an area where they need to be better, and you can criticize them for it, is they have no legitimate big men. None that rebound, none that, just get down below and, the greasy stuff. They don't have a guy that just goes out there and finds the ball. And, Mitchell Robinson, say what you want about him, he was a difference maker in that series.
Both Brad Stevens made some incredible trades and has made some incredible trades and probably gets a pass for the lack of some of the options on the front court. He shouldn't going forward. This offseason, he should not get a pass for some of the moves. I think Joe Mazzulla, I actually believe you could question him coming back or not. I think the philosophy works during the regular season, everybody. I think it works. I would support him. Try to get another X's and O's guy on that bench with him. This team can't afford, or at least the team we just saw, the law of averages, the little things, they couldn't afford to lose those. That's how hard it is to repeat. Mazzulla, I think, did not pick up the slack in some of those situations. So I know people want to just blame one person. I blame Brad. I blame Joe Mazzulla. It's criminal that Joe Mazzulla was so bad out of timeouts when Brad Stevens was one of the best of them. It's criminal. So much was on the line. The team was special. This is why I'd at least call Mike Malone. Have the conversation. The other thing is this. If Joe Mazzulla is in the last year of his deal, he's a lame duck. Tatum's not even going to be there. If they're boys and it's a problem, make the move now. My only thing is, I think the changes are ahead where they do think Joe's the right guy. Plus, does Malone want to come into something like this with the new ownership? It's absolutely fascinating, the future for the Boston Celtics. Hang tight, everybody. I see you holding on the phone lines. We have to take a quick break. I'm going to get to you all. And we'll do that next after the headlines here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
All right, well, Brad Stevens did speak at a press conference today. Well, set up the draft. They'll have more ideas of what the future will hold, but they're happy with Joe Mazzulla.
and been 7 or 8 Eastern Conference Finals. With your ego, in terms of you want to build a championship contender every year, but is there something that says with the new CBA, with all the restrictions, with Jason's injury, like maybe we have to take a step back? Like there could be, like, are you in the brass? Were you kind of pointing to like eventually we're going to have to take a step back? Eventually, like how does that go when you want to tell Boston that they're going to have a championship contender every year, but that might not be sustainable.
Yeah, and I think the way that you say it is the North Star is to have a championship contender, right? And so you have to you have to do what's best to give yourself the best opportunity to do that when you can do that. And so we just have to look at it all and decide, how feasible that is on any given year, and then, make sure that we are, we're making the decisions accordingly. But the reality is like I said, we have a lot of good players. We're in a unique situation. They're all under contract. And obviously, as you pointed out, there are, several basketball penalties that will come with that amount of salary. And so we just have to weigh it all and make those decisions. And again, I'll have more clarity after we meet and talk and go through it.
But is that possible to continue every year under the restrictions to have a championship contender, or do you have to? I never
put a ceiling on a group of players. So, some years you put a group together that you think has a better chance than others, but we'll see how it all looks. But my goal is always and will always be to try to best position us to compete for championships.
All right, that was team president Brad Stevens. End of the season press conference. I want to dig into that press conference a little bit later, but there he talked about not putting a ceiling on a team, which is interesting. He talked about positioning at times. So I don't think he actually knows where they're going yet. Like, there was no assurance. The only thing he said that I liked was that the team is good and that there are good players. But he doesn't want to put a ceiling on the group. Also mentioned positioning. So I have a lot of thoughts on what the Celtics should do next year. But let's hear from you guys because I've been talking for a while. 617-779-0985. Let's go to Alec in New Hampshire. Alec.
Hey, man. Love the show. Been listening a while, whenever I can. I just got a question for you, and I just want to hear your opinion about the Celtics this year. Do you think fatigue was any factor with them stepping off the gas and not being able to put their foot on their throats at the end of the season? They've been to how many Eastern Conference finals, how many, finals now in the past, 7-8 years? On top of that, you also got Tatum and Brown, who have doubled in size, finally put some muscle on themselves. So obviously they're putting in work, in the gym and in the off seasons. I'll hang up. I just want to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, but I'm not using it as an excuse. I just watched Denver go to another playoff round with Jokic and Murray and guys that got them there. The Warriors did it. It's no excuse for the young group. I will tell you this. I had a vision one night when I was here. Yes, guys, I had a vision. Actually, you might remember this, but there was a game where they were like, might have been Orlando, where it was so boring you might have caught me napping out there for a minute. But I woke up and I said, man, the team looks really like Brown doesn't look right. Tatum's just got the injury. They look tired for a minute. That I almost wonder if the Orlando series, where we thought they made the adjustments and looked better, I thought that they thought they could just turn it back on. Turn back on the philosophy. It worked for 2.5 quarters. It was amazing. The first 2 games going up 20 like that. I still can't believe the way they lost, and I bet you every New York Knicks fan would probably tell you they can't believe the way they won.
Yeah, I mean, they choked. That's what happened. They choked. The Knicks were the better team in the series. You can say whatever you want about the Celtics' 20-point leads, but when you're a -800 favorite, -900 favorite, And a lot of people, saying, "Oh, Tatum got hurt." Tatum got hurt. The series was already over. It was 3-1. You weren't coming back. So I don't buy into that at all. Yeah, I do think it's the end of an era thing. I think is a little too strong because for me, as long as you have Tatum, Brown, and White, the era is still going on. So I push back on the end of an era.
I think changes are ahead, Skaz.
Yeah,
I don't know where
for sure, but the end of an era.
I don't have a crystal ball. Okay, call me now. What was that, Miss Cleo? Call me now. I actually found out she was a big scam. Do you believe that?
Yes, Joe, I do believe that.
All right, so I had the pleasure of working with one Dan Lifshatz yesterday. Dan is a betting analyst, but also works in the finance world. He negotiates contracts with investment groups. And we had the discussion about the Celtics salary cap and the luxury tax. And, Skaz, we briefly talked about it again. We were here on Friday night when they lost, and I think we just wanted to go home. It was like, this sucks. Let's go home. But thinking about it a little bit here, my original take was Tatum and Brown sit out the year. We found out that Brown ended up having a slight meniscus tear, but he'll be ready to go opening day, Skaz. Like, meniscus tear.
That's what it sounds like.
It sounds like they can cut it.
Brad said structurally it was fine today.
Fine. So that by the way, that can heal on its own. I assume he'll do the little surgery and, that's 6 to 8 weeks, dude. That's nothing. So I think Jaylen Brown will have a full offseason. Plus, if he has a knee thing, they want to trade him. Like, it's part of the trade, right? Like, so everything sounds positive. I think the Celtics need front court help. I don't know where they'll find it. Like, I think you might have mentioned a name to me like Valanciunas. I don't love that guy, but you know what? He's a big who can just score. I don't know if Brook Lopez is an answer, but he's older, and I just don't want to rely on guys like that, me personally, so I don't know what they want to do. Like, is Al Horford really coming back? Like, is Al really coming back? This is what Lifshatz mentioned to me, and I think I agree with him. He thinks the key is Derek White. In order to get out of some of these deals, guys, the rest of the league knows what the issues the Celtics have financially. Would you? And I think Brad Stevens might have hinted towards it today. If you could get out of Porzingis and Holiday, but include Derek White, would you do it?
No.
What if it's the only way you can get out of one of those contracts?
Then Brad Stevens isn't as good as we thought he was.
See, do you feel like if Brad Stevens is so good, he can find another Derek White?
I think that's a lot, more, easier said than done.
Like, I get the White angle to me is he's boys with Tatum. They've developed him. His contract's really not that bad. Like, overall, like, he should be a part of what makes you successful, right? But his contract is also valuable. Probably more valuable than Jaylen Brown's. Right? Like, I mean, if you look at it.
If you're talking strictly in terms of value, yes.
Derek White is the best value on the team as far as a contract goes.
Well,
besides Peyton Pritchard.
A couple months, I was going to say, I had you guys selling me Peyton Pritchard All-Star for half the year. I don't know how that looked at the end of the season, but.
Is there a chance that I financially only, I think the best way to get out of your contracts is, it's kind of like when Mookie Betts got traded, they had to take David Price and some other bad contracts, right? If somebody's going to take Porzingis or Holiday, it might have to be in a Derek White deal.
See, even that, though, I think there are weird stipulations where that doesn't really work. Our buddy there, Keith Smart,
yeah.
He had a bunch of stuff on this, how it's sending the contracts out is not as easy as people, make it seem. And, the money has to match. The money has to, more than match for what the Celtics are sending out. So, yeah, I just think if the Celtics are in a place where they're already throwing in Derek White to, appease other teams financially, I just think that's That's a weird thing. Here it is. Keith had this earlier today. The Celtics can take back less money in trades. They can take back, $0 if the trade works for the other team. They don't have to take back X percentage of what they send out. They probably will, but they don't have to, which is, I think, something that's getting kind of convoluted with the Celtics offseason talk.
Yeah, the way that I look at it is, if the Celtics are trading Drew Holiday, they can't really take anything on. You're really trading him to get rid of $30 million, but it becomes $60 million because of the cap or the tax. So if you're trying to free up $60 million, you can't really take on a $30 million player because it's nothing.
Would you rather trade Holiday and Porzingis for nothing, or Holiday, Porzingis, and White for something?
I'd move on for nothing.
Me too. I think that's almost kind of where they're at right now.
It's almost like they're going to take a step back from where they were. Right? You lost Smart, you lost Robert Williams, you lost Brogdon. You won a championship gaining Porzingis and Holiday. Now, you went all in, you lost. You have to take a step back. Now, that doesn't mean you can't compete. But if it was just about moving on from Holiday and Porzingis for just money, I would keep the team intact if it was just about that. My thing is, remember teams didn't want to deal with Danny Ainge? The league knows.
Trader Danny.
The league, well, maybe he's like, well, the league hates me anyways because I got the 5th pick. But Walker Kessler, I don't love the player, but he's a big. They need front court help. I'm just throwing out things here. Who wants to help the Celtics is my point. The rest of the league knows the situation they're in. So I think they're going to beg for Derek White in these situations. If Brad Smarty doesn't do it, I think if he's smart, he does what you do, Skaz. But is there a team that actually wants to help the Celtics? And I think it would be Utah because they want to tank. They tried to tank and it didn't work. But I don't know. How about that $30 million slot when Porzingis money's off the books? Could you entice somebody to come to Utah? I don't know.
That's a tough sell, Joe.
But it's 30. It's a full slot, though. What about Drew Holiday? What about both slots? It's almost, you got to look at it.
Do you think there's any chance Holiday just says, I'm good and retires?
No, he said he wanted to come back and loves this group and doesn't know why they'd move on from him. So I don't know why he's saying all the right things.
That's what
I
mean, though. If he can't come back to this group, I wonder if his tune changes.
There's a lot of steam about a Jaylen Brown trade. I heard Ryan Russillo mention it on his podcast with, I believe it was Bill Simmons?
I don't think it was Ben. So
And I almost said Ben. I mean, there's chatter right now about the Warriors being interested in Derek White. The Ringer also has that. The one thing I heard from Brad Stevens today is that they have good players. Oh, he made it known. I think his pitch today was very easy by the media, by the way. We're going to talk to B-Rob about that. Come on. Let's bang out a couple of calls, though. Zach's in Auburn. Hey, Zach.
Hey, how you doing, Joe?
Good.
Thanks for taking the call. First time, long time. I've been listening to you guys at night for a couple of years. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. I just wanted to go over real quick. Porzingis made $30 million guaranteed this year to play 42 games. 42 games. It's like we have another Joel Embiid on our team, except he doesn't score 30 points a game. So, my take is why can't we get a true center that's going to average 10-plus rebounds a game? Our leading rebounder is Jason Tatum. He's the all-star.
Can you name a guy in the league who does that? That is affordable.
Clint Capella.
Clint Capella, okay. And how old is he now?
He's going on, I'd say, he's probably about 30, 31, but I think he's still got a few years left in the tank.
He has 2 years and $45 million left. How do they make that trade?
Well, I mean, you guys were just talking about piecing the deal together.
Okay, Zach. I know that it can be confusing, right? So the Celtics, on their roster, if you just said that Porzingis makes $30 million, right?
Yep.
They're paying $60 million for Porzingis. Okay.
Correct. Over 2 years, right?
So if they traded Porzingis for Clint Capella, they are really saving $20 million and getting worse.
So, but if they're getting a center on the court for the long term of the season, opposed to only playing half the games, I mean, what's going to happen when Tatum comes back and he's getting these rebounds and he rolls his ankle? I mean, he's just coming off this huge injury. We don't even know how he's going to be when he comes back.
Thanks, Zach. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but you got something on that, guys?
Worried about rebound. His ankle when he rebounds is our biggest concern. Clint Capella is a UFA.
A UFA, so he's just coming. Sorry, he's coming off a 2-year, $45 million.
Yeah, so I think they might have his bird rights. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, that means they can sign him for anything.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
have his bird rights.
Yes. So, yeah, finding a big man's not I wonder if the draft is kind of the route they go, but I do think that is. I don't know if I'd call it the top priority, but it's certainly right up there. They need a legit big man, which is kind of crazy in today's NBA, but it just shows you that you still need a big man. You know, even if you want to chuck from three, you still need a guy in the playoffs who can, get on the glass and not let Mitchell Robinson get 10 offensive rebounds a game.
I agree. All right, let's take a quick break. I see people still lined up on the phone lines. Oh, God, I'm getting a popsicle headache from this cap and let Brad figure that out. We're back here next on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Don't go.
Marchand sends it down into the empty net. An exclamation point off the stick of Marchand, his third point tonight, as he will go 5-0 in Game 7s against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Game 7s yesterday. One in the NBA and then the nightcap. Leafs. I rooted for both underdogs, and, well, the chalk won. Poor Leafs fans, I got to tell you.
Joe, you were rooting for the Leafs?
Dude, I was yeah, why not?
Because they're the Leafs.
That's the whole point. They're so sad that I root for them. I root for the Raves sometimes, or the Rays back in the day. I used to root for
the Rays. I can understand. The Rays, I can wrap my head around.
Like the Oakland A's, you know, when
yeah.
Moneyball, I rooted for
like
them.
like you know Buffalo. I don't get too upset when they win a playoff game. I'm like, good for Buffalo.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
The Leafs, no. I was almost hoping like overtime. Like I wanted them to lose, and I wanted it to be horrific.
Well, 3 goals in whatever seconds is not good.
I had a delight watching that game, Joe. I'm not going to lie to you. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
You know what? Do you think Bruins fans... I know the Bruins aren't in the playoffs, and that sucks. But have things gone well for the Bees? For them? Like, I know they haven't done anything, but have things gone their way?
I mean, yeah, I guess there's a couple ways to look at it. You know, that Brad Marchand rumored contract, I think he might be getting a little more than that after his leading the playoffs in points, I think, or tied or something. He
Talk about betting on yourself, because I thought $7 million's crazy.
Led that series in points, I think, or was tied. So he looked like the best player on the ice. Seth Jones did too, who people thought was awful in Chicago. It's amazing what happens when these guys get on a team with actual good players, how that kind of turns around. But yeah, as a Bruins fan, I thought you get your first round pick, Marchand scoring goals, to eliminate the Leafs. I thought it was a nice night, Joe.
Yeah, I listen. I woke up and saw it was 5-1, and I was like, these guys suck. And it's funny because one of my buddies is in Vegas and goes, "Who do you like tonight?" And I said, "The Leafs." And he goes, "Are you serious?" So, no, I am crazy. I'm crazy. I took the Leafs. But it was more of a, they can't lose again, can they? Like, didn't we feel this way about the New York Knicks? Didn't we feel this way about the New York Knicks? There were minus 800 guys. Like, the Leafs are going to blow it. I thought New York was going to blow it too.
Yeah, I mean, I had that thought, though, like when the Knicks, closed out the Celtics and then Toronto won in Florida to force Game 7. I was like, oh, this really is like the Leafs are really going to do it. But the Knicks can change. I guess the Leafs cannot change. And I don't know where they go from here because Marner's going to be gone. Tavares is old.
Oh, Marner? Out. He's going to get paid from somebody else. He is like, get me out of here.
Yeah, and people are like, now they're out on him. And look, would I rather have, Sam Bennett? Of course. But, like, I wonder what he looks like without the stink of the Toronto Maple Leafs on him.
Leafs are now 3-14 at home in games 4 through 7.
One more time, Joe. What was that?
That is 3-14.
I would say not good.
And I believe Brad Marchand is a part of now 5 teams to eliminate the Leafs.
Yeah, I think he set the record for eliminating one team.
Oh, and he was such a little devil after the game, huh?
Said you just have to be Leaf, I think is what he said.
What's funny is I follow Biz. I follow all those guys, And it's how intimate their relationship is with Brad Marchand is incredible. He says what he wants. And then he knows when to needle.
Yeah, our guy Anson Carter right there was he wasn't on there the other night, but he's been doing a little needling of Biz as well. Tough night for Biz, I guess.
Martian's one of those guys when it's not going good, he doesn't like it, but when it's really going good, he embellishes big time.
What did you think of his post-game quote too? The one where he was like, "It wasn't really a big game." He was like, they put so much pressure on these guys, but it's not like it was the Stanley Cup or anything like that. It's just a Game 7, not that big of a deal.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, during the year, he was like, called out, questioned for being a leader. Didn't like it. Wanted people's jobs.
That's true, yes. He's trying to fire some people.
Right? And now he's talking. You know what, though? That's why you hate him, and that's why you want him on your team.
Yeah, he's doing a little peacocking, Joe.
Oh, a little ball of hate with wings. Who do they play now?
You're going to get a rematch of Panthers Hurricanes, I believe. That riveting Hurricanes team, which for some reason really bothers people. They don't play the prettiest brand of hockey. Yeah, they win a lot of games.
All right, well, maybe we'll play some sound.
I got one little Bruins thing for you.
Yeah.
I saw this. I think it might have been the Chicklets guys, but Misha Donskov, a guy the Bruins apparently very interested in. A guy who was an assistant at the Four Nations that Don Sweeney may have got an up-close look at. He's the assistant for the Stars right now, so still in the playoffs. But that's a name that I've heard floated around. Sweeney saw him up close and personal, seemed to be a big fan. It wasn't Friedman, but somebody had it.
I saw it.
Misha Donskov's a guy to be on the lookout
for.
Keep
that one under your hat for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you talk about the Marchand peacocking. Remember Don Sweeney up there saying, "This is a desirable destination. The Bruins' job is one of the most prestigious in I feel like Tommy Boy when he sucks his gut in. Do you know where the weight room is? That's what Don Sweeney was like about how.
Don't give him the weight room bit.
Richard. Yes, they gave we're a destination. Any coach can come here.
Yeah, Mike Sullivan, right? He wanted to come here. Rick Tocchet, yeah, both. Not so much.
I'm watching me do this now on YouTube, and I definitely look like Tommy Boy. Richard, who's your favorite little rascal? Is it Alfalfa, or is it Spanky? Thinger. All right, let's go to the headlines. I'm Joe Murray.
From the Tell Your Type Studios, WBZ FM and HD1.
It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Beasley Media Group Station.
Essential Sports Hub headline, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
All right, Red Sox in action over at Fenway Park right now. They have a 3-1 lead, but trouble. First and third, one out. No Alex Cora tonight. He, attended his daughter's graduation, which was this morning. Patriots voluntary workouts today. Eagles have signed Super Bowl winning coach Nick Sirianni. 49ers agree to a new deal with All-Pro Fred Warner. Brad Stevens spoke at a press conference today saying they have good players and they love Joe Mazzulla. And the Bruins signed a goalie, which, again, I can't say his name. Can we figure that out at some point? The goalie's name for the Bruins they signed today. Again, when Hustadinov signed, you should have heard that one. Headlines are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm Joe Murray.
If you've got the app, you've got Toucher and Hardy to wake you up no matter where you are.
Or who may or may not have been to jail.
Get the app. The 98.5, the Sports.
First pick, they wanted Will Campbell. At least I am sold that they wanted Will Campbell. Now, they needed a tackle, but they loved him. Their scouts, they had the different scouts going around. You saw the relationship with Ryan Cowden and Elliot Wolf. I thought that was interesting. But in the end, it was Vrabel making the final decisions. There were offers to other teams. The Bears wanted Travion Henderson. And Ryan Cowden was like, well, I don't know. Would we rather the player or those picks? Oh, we got that? Here we go, Skaz. I want to hear that one.
All right, thanks.
Hello. Hey.
48.
This is Mike Vrabel.
Mr. Graduates. 14.
Elliot's got a message for you.
Used to be like
Yeah. Should have drafted me back in '97, buddy. That's the message.
Miami has committed to we are debating right now. Yeah. Chicago wants to just flip and give us a 7th. Flip and give us a 7th. They're next.
I mean, who do we feel better about at 69? You know what I mean? Getting one of these receivers we like. You're saying? Right. You know what I'm saying? I love Tomo. We'll trade.
We're leaning towards picking, yeah.
I think we never skipped.
What? Do you have something else in mind? 58, 79, next year, 3.
Right. Yeah. It goes back to where do we want to go with this 20 players, or do we want to take the guy who thinks that's the biggest impact?
You guys want to do this? Wants to do it?
I think it's worth it.
Yeah, it works. I think it's Fields and offers. I think it's a Bill Pick for win.
Pick, okay.
Your ass.
All right, thanks.
It's a trade.
Yeah, get the Travion Henderson on the phone.
Call.
It is.
You got it.
So there you go. That's how it all worked out. Anything for you on that one, Skaz?
I think, Forge and Foxborough, I thought it was fine.
So you ended up watching it?
Nice little, I watched it. Yep, little look behind the curtain there.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
I did think it was team made.
Of course.
I think I knew what I was getting into.
The pick swap in the 7th round or whatever it is, just draft a good player. Like, I'm fine with them sticking there. They wanted Henderson.
There was another voice in the room, though. See, if you think about this, last year it was Groh and Wolf. They let them work together still. You notice that? Groh was the one who did the dirty work. Elliott was the one talking to Cowden. And then Mike would... You want to talk about collaborative like they wanted last year? I saw it. They didn't tell me. I saw a collaborative effort. And you know what? Vrabel, I think, really did. Again, it's a team-made special, but it looked like he gave Elliott Wolf the control to make the moves.
I was going to say that I don't want to, call what I saw in the clip where Vrabel seemed hands-off, but it was hands-off-ish. Like, he didn't feel like a micromanager. He didn't feel like he was breathing down, Elliott's neck or anything like that. It felt like Elliott's here to do the job. I'm going to let him do his job. If he wants my opinion, I'll give him, my opinion. And it appeared like a very functional, draft room. And so, you have to take that as a positive.
You know what else was funny? There was they were at the combine, and it was Vrabel in the middle of Cowden on the right and Wolf on the left, and Cowden's the one excited about the guys, and it was kind of like Vrabel was just on his phone, like, I don't know what he was doing. And then Elliott Wolf was like, oh, you really think so? Those three are working together.
To me, that's kind of ideal. I don't want Mike Vrabel making the draft picks. It's not his job. If he has input, if he likes a guy, Ohio State connection, whatever, fine. Give the input, but Wolf and Cowden, that's their jobs. It seemed like they're letting them do their jobs. I think that's a good sign for the Patriots.
That was a takeaway. You know what else? He doesn't care about last year at all. He doesn't care what college you went to, a car you drive, anything. I think that's good. Listen. If in your life, if you've ever, I don't want to use the workplace, but in a sports atmosphere, when a new coach comes in and, every day you would do a lap before practice started, but the coach didn't want you to do that anymore. Like, there's a new sheriff in town. Just because you did things a certain way. Not anymore. Like, that's what I feel is happening with the Patriots. Where last year it was, Bill's gone, everybody. Now, whew. No, I think everyone is now walking on eggshells again, but he did set an expectation. Hey, do this, do that, respect your teammates, respect the people around you, do your job. I don't know, it sounded like Bill Belichick to me, just another guy saying it. Well, let's talk to Evan Lazar. See what he thinks. I saw some of his colleagues around there. We'll get his thoughts on Forged and Foxborough and OTAs. Did they start today or they begin this week? Whatever. They're there. And we'll hear from Evan coming up next here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening to Joe Murray.
We'll get into the Red Sox as they're winning right now, 3-1. Let's talk to Evan Lazar. Covers the Patriots, of course, over at Patriots.com. Evan, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing good, Joe. How are you?
I watched Forged in Foxborough today. I enjoyed it.
Nice.
It was. I saw your colleague Mike Dussault was on there. I saw bits and pieces of Paul Perillo at times. I saw a lot of people that we all work with and know. Karen Gregan in a nice little one-on-one interview. But for the most part, I got to tell you, I enjoyed it. Were there any takeaways for you after watching the Forged in Foxborough episode?
Yeah, well, it was a cool project, and I had absolutely nothing to do with it. All the credit goes to our in-house video team. So just for somebody that's a little bit on the inside, it was just really cool that it was all done by the in-house media team, in-house video team, and nobody from the outside really had anything to do with it. So it was a complete, craft sports production, which was pretty cool. And, from the actual content of it, I think the part that stood out to me the most was inside the draft room and the conversations that they clearly had about the 38th overall pick. I think they even came out and said in the press conferences that they contemplated who to pick there at 38 overall, and there was clearly some trade chatter at 38 overall, as you saw in Forged in Foxborough, with the Texans, with the Bears there, a pick later at 39. So we'll forever know, it's Travion Henderson versus, those trade opportunities, and we'll see who ends up being right in the long run there.
I'll agree with you on that. Skaz and I were just talking about this, but I want to eliminate anything from last year, right? I think Mike Vrabel did that in this documentary or this video. He goes, I don't care about last year. I don't care what car you drive. I don't care where you played before, what you did before. Like, I think he set that example right away. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is last year, I think it was, Mayo was new and they wanted the collaborative effort. I think the collaborative effort didn't need to be pushed on us. You saw it, right? Like, Cowden was involved, Elliot Wolf was involved, Vrabel was kind of, hands off might be the right word to use there, but you saw a collaborative effort of scouts and guys that have been around for a while. Like, now I believe that this truly, it's Mike Vrabel's in charge, but he trusts his guys.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And when you mentioned the clip of Vrabel talking about the cars and stuff like that, and I just go back to something he said in his introductory press conference, that he wanted to get entitlement out of the building. And that felt to me like right off the jump that he was, saying it doesn't matter if you're a first-round pick or undrafted, and they're showing, Drake made it, Del Pettis and things like that. And I thought that message was very clear. But you saw the group of 5 or 6 guys that were sitting in the first 2 rows there in the draft room. Mike Vrabel, obviously, Ryan Cowden, Elliot Wolf, but right behind them, you have Matt Groh, you have John Stryker Stretch. He was back there. Cameron Williams was there as well. So it seems like in the draft in Broome and just with the draft in general, it was kind of that group, those 5 or 6 guys that were running the draft, so to speak, with obviously Elliot Wolf at the top and Mike Vrabel right beside him. But I believe that group will be the core group as we move forward here that are going to make most of the football decisions for the Patriots, which is something that we'll see how it goes in terms of, how they actually perform on the field. But I think so far it looks like on paper that they've done a good job. So I'm excited to see what that group does moving forward.
Just last one on the Forged in Foxborough, which you can watch on YouTube and at Patriots.com. They highlighted Will Campbell. They wanted this guy. There's no doubt about it. There was no reach here. They decided Will Campbell was their guy. Their scouts decided it. But what I did like when Vrabel got on the phone and goes, yeah, that's the last time you were going to knock me on my ass again. Like, I know that when the story came out, everybody kind of thought it was cheesy. No, if you watch this was real. Like, they had that. And he even said, I had to do that to seal the deal. Like, he was on an interview. He even said it himself. Like, he wanted to be a Patriot. He wanted to nail that interview. He nailed it, man, and that's their guy. Will Campbell's their guy, Evan. Is that what you I know you've been around now. You've been at the OTAs, rookies. Like, that's their guy, right?
100%. And he's been at left tackle since the very beginning here, the day one of rookie minicamp when we saw him. There was no, we'll give you some reps at left tackle and then maybe a few at left guard and get your feet wet in both spots. It's Will Campbell at left tackle for the foreseeable future and until he, I would say, hopefully for a while and until he proves otherwise, right? If he proves that he can't play the position, then we'll talk about that when the time comes. But for right now, that's definitely the plan. And I think one of the good things about having Mike Vrabel aboard is he talked a lot about going on the draft circuit, whether it was private workouts, pro days, things like that, and working out these trench players, defensive line and offensive line. I think he used the word that he likes to feel, their strength and their power and their punches or in their movements. And even though that stuff might sound a little bit cliche, I think at the same time, having a guy like Vrabel who knows what it's supposed to feel like when you get punched in the chest by an offensive tackle because he's been there and done it himself, then you can kind of project forward, hopefully, what those guys are going to do against pros. So that's exciting to me to have someone that has that background and has that ability to really go out and work out these guys and understand, okay, well, when I got punched in practice by Matt Light, this is what it felt like. So now when Will Campbell does it, I kind of know what it's going to feel like too. And just quickly, at rookie minicamp, we saw him just going through drills and stuff like that. Obviously, we're not in pads yet or any contact in these practices, but you could hear the thud into those pads of Will Campbell's hands, and you can see the power and the grip strength that he has in his upper body. So you could understand how he could put Mike Vrabel on the ground. He's got some real raw power to him that I think that is going to be very good, especially in the run game.
The one thing I like most about Will Campbell and Drake May is they're both on rookie deals. And as they're transitioning now and Mike Vrabel is going to be in charge, I think they got a couple of years here to get right and really become a destination and become attractive. And I think Stephon Diggs signing is one of those first moves, right? Some of the free agents that they brought in this year. I know people are going to talk about win totals, Evan. It's 8.5. I want the team to be desirable. I want them to be on national TV again. I want teams to want to play for Vrabel and the Patriots and with Drake May, right? But while they have this time with 2 rookie deals, now's the time to strike, and I think they're in a great spot. I know they last couple of years haven't been great, but having those 2 guys on a rookie deal, I think, is huge. What do you see? What's going on with OTAs? It's all voluntary, right? You see anything? And what's the schedule for this week?
Yeah, it's all voluntary right now. At this portion, mandatory minicamp is the second week of June, so we have a couple weeks here of voluntary workouts. But we'll be out there tomorrow. Practice starts at noon, and it's the first open OTA to the media. So we got out there for rookie minicamp, but obviously that's all rookies and some guys that were on the practice squad last year, second-year guys trying to make the team and things like that. But the veterans is the first time we're going to see any of those guys out there. To me, I think the most exciting thing is to see Drake May working with Josh McDaniels. This is the first time we'll see that in a football setting that's not enforced in Foxborough. So we'll get to see that, up close tomorrow. And that dynamic and the coaching technique and the strategy, probably we won't see a ton in terms of the X's and O's, but we'll definitely get to see how those two interact and what they have in store maybe in terms of that communication and that coaching aspect of it. And we also, one rookie that we didn't see at rookie minicamp was Travion Henderson. He was there for the rest of rookie minicamp, I believe, but he just wasn't there for the day that was open to the media. So this will be the first time that we'll see him in action too. Whenever you get into these spring camps, these passing camps, you always think about the skill players, and that's really what you're looking at because you're not going to evaluate trenches and Will Campbell just yet without pads and without contact. So you get out there and you see a running back like Travion Henderson. How explosive is he? How does he move? How does he run routes? Same thing with Kyle Williams as well, at receiver. So that will be exciting. But at the very top of the list has to be Josh McDaniels and Drake May and how those two guys kick it off here on the first day.
Very interested to see your writing on that and what kind of sets they come out with, who's in the slot, right? Who's snapping the ball to him. There's going to be a lot there to dig into. Just real quick, I know the Patriots are going to have a new look defense this year altogether. New players, new scheme. The top 25 list of under 25 came out today. No Christian Gonzalez. Do you think that was a slight?
I felt like it was. I mean, maybe I'm biased, but you guys, the second-team All-Pro nod in your second season at 22 years old. I think he's one of the best young cornerbacks in the NFL. And there were a few guys on there that I thought were borderline. You know, Cooper DeJean gets it over him as a rookie. Had a really good playoffs, great Super Bowl, obviously, but it doesn't have the accolades that Christian Gonzalez did. And Devin Achane, the running back from the Dolphins, was near the bottom of the list, too, where I was like, all right, I can see it, but I'm not sure if a guy that is kind of a platoon back is really doing the same thing or having the same responsibility as Christian Gonzalez going out there and playing one-on-one coverage against some of the best receivers in the league. And, we talk a lot about the offense and the draft, and understandably so, but Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez, I think, are going to be the bedrock of this defense. They're really banking on those two guys being able to take out their assignments and every single week, and then allow the middle of the defense to kind of be more free and roam around and make plays on the football. And hopefully, Jabril Peppers and Kyle Duggar playing more in the box and closer to the line of scrimmage. And you can do all those types of things when you have two shutdown corners on the outside. So I believe that's going to be the real bedrock or foundation of what they're going to do schematically defensively is going to be built around those two corners and hopefully taking out their sides of the field.
All right, and is it confirmed that there will be joint practices in the preseason with Minnesota? I think I saw The Athletic. Somebody in Minnesota might have reported that. Just not sure if that there was talks about it. But is that the case? There'll be joint practices?
Yeah, so I don't know if that's 100% locked in, but I did see the report that say you saw, and they're on the preseason schedule. So I would say that that's a pretty good chance. So that'll be really fun. Obviously, the Vikings are a great team. So.
Little JJ, little Drake, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, see both those guys up close, and it'll be a good test. See those corners, like I just mentioned, against Addison and Justin Jefferson and in practice and things like that. So it'll be fun.
All right, man. Do you think they should abolish the tush push?
No, I don't think so. And I think it's funny because, if this was the Patriots in the dynasty years, just like with the pass interference stuff with the Colts, right? Like if they were trying to take away something the Patriots were doing at such a high level,
how about the Brady sneak? How about the Brady sneak?
Yeah, right. Right. If they were just like, no, you can't do that anymore. Like, I think we would all be going crazy about that, right? Like, we would all be losing our minds. And I feel like the same thing with the tush push. Like, figure out how to stop it then. That's my adage. And that was sort of what Mike Vrabel said at the owners' meetings, too, was he wouldn't abolish it because it's a legal play and you should have to figure out a way as a defense to go out there and stop it. So that's my 2 cents on it. I think we're all a little hypocritical if we sit here and say, oh, yeah, abolish that. But when they were, putting in all the rules for the Colts receivers and things like that back in the day, everybody was all up in arms that they were against the Patriots. Well, now they're doing the same thing to the Eagles. So let's not let that happen.
All right, Evan Lazar, before I let you go, did I see you in a commercial with Julian Edelman? And did he put hey, do you like, kind of like a knockoff of, do you like apples? How do you like them apples? Was that you in that commercial, sir?
That was our schedule release video from last year, actually. So that
was a whole year ago?
Yeah, that was a whole year ago. I played the role of, at the bar in Good Will Hunting where they come in and the kid tries to show off how smart he is, and then Matt Damon's character kind of dunks on him. So Julian Edelman was Matt Damon in this case, and I was the loser at the bar. So
I don't know how I missed that a year ago, but you know what it was? We were doing the other night. We were doing funny team videos when it comes to their schedule releases, and somehow I'm like, there's Evan Lazar, but that was from a year ago.
Yeah, it was a great one. You should watch it. It was Gronk, Edelman, Ernie Adams is in there. It's a fun one.
I know they should get you back next year, maybe. See what happens. Maybe.
I'm available.
You are certainly available. Thank you for joining us tonight. He's Evan Lazar. Everybody check him out. Patriots.com. Evan, good luck with OTAs, man. I'm looking forward to reading your stuff on Drake May and the new look Josh McDaniels offense, bud.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Joe.
You got it. He's Evan Lazar. Everybody check him out. Patriots.com. Does an excellent job over there. You can check out his podcast. He does with Alex Barth as well. We'll take a quick break. I'll hit the headlines here. I'm Joe Murray. You're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
All right, Red Sox have a 3-1 lead right now over at Fenway Park, taking on the Mets. And, well, some good things are happening for the team. They're without Al. shows rest of the way this year. Every night. Get a load of Joe. Red Sox are on right now. They're winning. Just a little, because we got in or out coming up in a few minutes here. I don't know if our intern Luke has. Does intern Luke know what in or out is?
He's about to find out.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. We got in or out coming up in a little bit. If I may, just a minute on the Red Sox. I got some numbers for you later. Numbers. Regarding wins, I gave you when they get to the 40 game mark. There needs to be a certain number that they have to get to in order to make the playoffs. But you didn't like that. So you know what I did? I did 50 games. So we'll have that for you coming up in a little bit, the Joe Murray research team. All over that one. But the Red Sox had an interesting weekend. They lose on Friday night. Cora blows it again. On Saturday, they're down 6-2. They made a great comeback. And Rafael Devers was awesome on Saturday night and hit a grand slam on Sunday. Saturday night was a great night for the Red Sox, okay? But in reality, it meant nothing because you lost the next game. I understand that there's great moments with Fenway. If you're a fan, you enjoy the moment. For me, I want them to compete and win. I don't care about the social media after the game, the hit, or Jaron Duran in the bathroom running out with the Wally head. I don't care about the social media part of it. I like the wins. So the storyline for me would be Rafael Devers is taking over the leadership role. After what happened with him, his not moving positions, the owner having to come out and talk to him, the comments about Breslow. Like, that was a moment for Rafael Devers to become a leader. And they followed up with a no-show loss. And the next day, the manager's not there. And I'm not going to get on that one. You wait your whole life for kids to grad. I'm not gonna comment on it. You guys can, though. I'm not going to comment on the manager not being there, even though I've made a comment about not commenting on it. That happened. Hey, the Red Sox starters, 28th in the league in average, 25th in walks and hits per inning, and 24th in ERA. That's not good. So one of the issues on the team is pitching. The other one is Rafael Devers has been very hot since that John Henry meeting. This is coming into tonight because I haven't looked at what he's done tonight. 429, 3 homers, 3 doubles. Since May 9th, he's been good. Very good. Is Rafael Devers turning into the leader that the Red Sox don't have? I'll leave it there on the Sox talk. 617-779-0985. We started off with, what else did we start with tonight? We did some Celtics early on. Missoula. That's what Zach and Woburn wants to talk about. What's up, Zach?
What's up, Joe? How you doing, bud?
How you doing?
Good, man. Hey, by the way, real quick before my take, I made ham and potatoes au gratin for dinner tonight. So,
ooh, okay.
Real
quick on that. Did you buy the ham yourself? And how did you cook it? Did you put it in the oven, an air fryer, like a grill? Like, how'd you do it?
I bought the ham myself, and I scored it myself, and I trimmed it myself, and I rubbed it in a mustard and a seasoning rub, and put it in the oven.
Nice. Did you do any brush with like a hot honey or anything, or like a little brown sugar with honey?
I mix honey in with the mustard.
Ooh,
so I
there
do
you go.
So I do the honey first, right? Because honey and mustard, when you mix them together, it gets a little messy, right?
Yes, it can.
So you do the honey first with a little good coat of the honey, and then the mustard, and then you season it, and then you score it first, and then you put it in the oven, and it comes out great in the au gratin potatoes.
Love an au gratin potato in a nice pan, and it gets like thick.
Amen.
And then it steams like you get your spoon, and then you put it on your plate, but it's steaming from the plate.
Exactly. And my son came home from rugby practice, and he eat like a horse, and it was perfect.
Oh, what was your basketball take?
All right. So here's my thing, man. I think there's a lot to like about Missoula. I really do. There's a lot about the guy to like. As a coach, it's the arrogance that really gets to me. And let me, again, I'm born and raised in Denver, Colorado. I'm a Nuggets fan, but, I've come to have a love for the Celtics, right? But he's very Belichickian, where he doubles down whenever you question him. Whenever you question anything he does, it's like he's got to prove you wrong on that. And we've been saying for years that the threes are going to bite them in the ass at some point, right? At some point, it's gonna hurt them, and we just saw that happen live in front of our eyes. Now, in the regular season, you can lose 3 games in a row. You can lose 2 games in a row. You cannot do that in the playoffs. You cannot do that. In the playoffs, you get a lead, 20 points, you got to start throwing body blows. Get to the paint, get to the rack, get to the line, get in the bonus, milk the clock. You have to do these things to win the game. They did not. They just said, all right, we're just going to keep launching, we're going to keep shooting, and that's it. And that's where I really feel he just fell really short. It was the arrogance on his part, and his inability and his unwillingness, more importantly, to make any adjustments at all.
Notice how a lot of the coaches have that kind of arrogance after winning a championship? Like, Belichick, we've seen it, right? Claude and the Bruins. No, I'm just trying to. And Zach, good call, buddy. Thank you. Enjoy that ham. Tina, eat your ham. That's the first thing I thought of with ham. Egos when it comes to these coaches. We've seen it too many times here. We have. I like that call. I like Zach. I like ham. Maybe a little pineapple on that ham too, Scaz, Au gratin potatoes, though. That's where it's at. Well, I feel like you need one more thing with that. I don't know if it's a green, though, is it? Like, you got this nice ham that's all just rubbed up, right? But I feel like there needs to be another side there, Scaz.
You need a green, Joe. You need a green.
Yeah, it's probably broccoli because you would put it in the au gratin cheese of the potato, right? I mean, I assume it's broccoli.
Yeah, broccoli or asparagus.
Ooh. Asparagus, you could put some cheese on that, too. Yeah, it's a green. I was thinking biscuit for some reason. Or some sort of bread in an oven. All right. Hey, we got in or out. That's coming up next here on the Sports Hub.
What's it gonna be, McFly? Are you in or out?
Don't go anywhere. There's more.
wholesale deals for years.
It's Joe Murray on the Sports Zone.
Are you in or out? Gotta know without a doubt. I'm the one you need for a dirty deed. I'm the best success. Allergy, unless you want to call water poop an allergy.
Not sure that qualifies.
They got Wally the Green Monster hand things. This is going too far. Oh, I'm about to go on a rant. I'm back in on Wally. But the first base glove, the sliding glove, is now a Wally figure? Out. Look at this thing. Do you see it? No, I know you all on the radio, but if you're watching Nesson right now, who's number 2? Is that Bregman? Bregman's on first base, but he has one of those gloves that protect your wrist and thumb. Like, so, because on the stationary bags, you can do it. His is a Wally. It looks like a mitten. Is this being sold in the store?
I don't know how many fans are buying sliding gloves, Joe. Maybe some show up to the games with the sliding gloves on.
Look at that thing.
I don't know.
It looks like a pickleball racket. Do they call them rackets in pickleball?
You'd have to ask 2 to 6, I believe. Or who's doing pickleball talk today?
I don't know.
I heard there was some pickleball talk earlier today.
Well, I know Gronk and Edelman are doing one, right? At that Boshi.
What aren't they doing,
What is that thing
Joe?
up in Natick?
They do everything.
Every time I go to the mall, I see that big, giant pickleball. Okay, next.
All right, Joe. It is the NFL offseason, but the NFL offseason is year-round, I guess. So there is no offseason for the NFL. The league is going to be voting on some things this week, Joe, including a ban of the tush-push. It feels like we've done more tush-push talk in the last 24 months than, in the history of humanity. So, Joe Murray, are you in or out on the tush-push being banned?
Keep this one quick. I'm out. What's illegal about the tush-push? And just like in high school, we used to play teams that ran the options, guys. And some teams we couldn't stop the veer and the halfback trap, dude. Or the quarterback follow-up. Sometimes you can't stop it. And I think that's what the tush-push is. Now, do I think Washington tried some interesting ways last year to stop projects on them as kids? And I always wondered, what are the good ones? What are the bad ones, right? Because really a great white's the worst. But a lot of these other ones are just harmless. So it's like the great white shark, though, is what we are closest to. And quite frankly, you can't go to a beach past Eastham. Right? And have you ever been to P-Town? They're literally just right around there, waiting for you. So, and Jaws, of course, right? But now I told you, the other one there, the big shark, that movie.
Oh, the Meg.
Megalongdong.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that one. Now they've made 2 of them, and there's a separate world, and then it was or Shark Week's a big thing, right?
I think it's 50 years of Jaws, too, is they're doing something big for that.
I can't get away from... I watched that other movie where the shark attacks, and then, there's a shark in a
Sharknado?
I've watched them all. I've watched all the Sharknados. I've actually, believe it or not, there was a time when I worked here where we would do live play-by-play of the Sharknado because it would be released on, a Thursday night on Spike.
Wasn't Cuban in one of them, I think?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Tara Reid got eaten in one of them, I think. Anyways, what was the story again?
It was a movie called Dangerous Animals, Joe.
And on sharks, though. Aren't they the most... You're going into their habitat. We got to go to break. That was a good in or out.
He's in.
All right, just want to make sure he's in.
He's in. We're learning. He's a horror movie guy. I learned.
Oh,
yes.
that. Yes.
We're learning, Joe.
What kind of horror? Are we talking Psycho or American Psycho?
Traditional horror.
Okay. I love, believe it or not, Michael Myers movies, Halloween. I'm in. Yeah, I'm in. Or are you The Birds kind of guy?
More recent.
Okay, I Know What You Did Last Summer?
We were talking about that earlier.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
New one's coming out soon.
What'd you think of, what was the one, whatever. We got to go to break. We'll continue. Horrors. Horrors is what I said, everybody. Let's go to break.
From the Top Your Time Studios, WBZ FM and HD. It's Joe Murray.
I heard a voice. His name was Brian Robb. He's been joining us all season long over at Mass Live. And, well, B-Rob, while I got you real quick, we're here for your advice, but let me just get this out of the way in case you didn't hear it or the other listeners and Green Teamers. I thought the Celtics were special this year. And I basically for a year and a half have said that they make other teams tap out, which that was true until they met the New York Knicks, and in Game 6 the Celtics tapped out, and I think that it was a failure this year, B-Rob. So that's where I stand on the season. I wanted to take the L because, oh, Joe, you say everybody taps out, the Celtics. Well, the Celtics finally met their match and tapped out. So I've given my take. What are your thoughts on how the series went for the Celtics?
Yeah, you nailed it. That was a disaster, Joe. Like, there's no, it was a disaster before Jason Tatum went down.
Yep.
Is what's going to be the big problem for Brad Stevens. Like, they were going to be down 3-1 in that series, and even if Tatum is healthy, they're probably not coming back from that. They're probably not winning Game 6 in the Garden. The way the Knicks played, even if Tatum's on the floor. And it's a huge disappointment. And for them to blow Games 1 and 2 in the fashion they did, and to cap it off of just not showing up at all in Game 6, after the first 10 minutes of that game, that was it was tough to watch. And for a team that knew that this was essentially a special 2-year window here, for them to have this core together to go at it like that. And I think you could hear it from even Al Horford in his exit interview on Saturday, just him like coming to terms with just how badly that played out, and how disappointing it was for them to go down, not just go down, but go down, by whatever it was, 37 points or whatever. That wasn't Game 6.
It was a monumental choke. Monumental.
Yeah.
And, I know that a lot of the blame in this town over the years, right? For years, it's always been the coach. Whenever something goes wrong, it's the coach. I do think that if they it's easy to say this, if they make their shots and play defense, they win, right? Or at least early on, if they make their shots, they win. But I want to take it a little further up. I do think Brad Stevens has been an excellent president. He's been excellent. All his trades were. But I do think that their front end was horrible. Like, their front court was terrible. I mean, it was. Like, I know Porzingis was sick. I know Al's old. Really, their best front court players, Jason Tatum, who we think is a wing. But I know they rebuilt it, and they were great during the regular season. But a lot of the reasons why I think Missoula had struggles because he had nothing else to go to in the front court. So I'm going both for to blame, even though I do think there were some X's and O's that could have been changed, and I think they would do differently.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do. Brad had very limited options in terms of what he could have added once he decided to run it back as it was. Could they have, maybe traded the 30th overall pick, the other Shireman, for like some more big man depth, something like that. Like you can make a case for that. Not games in itself, but just dug them into big holes at various points.
What was the question? What was the question you asked Brad today? Was it? I think you were trying to go. Are you happy with what you have? And I just can you repeat again what was the question you asked? Because there was like a follow up to it, and I don't know. It just seemed like he was happy with what they have, but could be positioning. There was a lot there in that question and answer.
Yeah, well, it was a very interesting, fascinating press conference from Brad. Like he pretty much announced when he came in, listen, I'm not going to talk about the future in this press conference, which is for him very uncharacteristic. He just doesn't. That's like, all right, well, what do you have in this press conference for? So I asked him about, okay, well, are you at least aware, like, what's your spending ability next year? Like, do you have answers to those questions right now? Because those are pretty big factors in terms of, you don't have to tell me what you're going to do, but you at least have that knowledge. And he's like, we talked about that in a few weeks at the draft. And so I followed up being like, well, how challenging is that? And then he came back with saying, yeah, we've known this is coming down the pike for a while. The fact that the CBA is going to put them in a tough spot. And so they're going to have to weigh a bunch of factors and weigh in terms of what happened in this series and the playoffs and Tim's injury and all that stuff's going to factor into what they do this offseason. But so it was certainly nothing concrete, but pretty much everything that we think might be on the table here, Joe, now I think is very much on the table after this press conference, since Brad was afraid to touch anything with any sort of clarity or declaration. And I think that makes sense because with Tatum's injury and with how terribly that ended. And Joe, like, this is for you. I saw this. I think you'll appreciate this. Where would you rank this upset, the Knicks over Celtics? What do you think in the last 25 years in terms of like biggest, odds?
I would say betting odds. They were minus 900 to open, and it was right around 800. I don't think this is as big as the Super Bowl loss against the Giants, but betting wise, yeah, this is a monumental one.
So it was the fifth biggest upset in the last 25 years in the NBA playoffs.
Wow.
So that just shows you. And the other ones were like, the Bulls against the Sixers in 2012 when like Derrick Rose tore his ACL, like major serious injuries happened in pretty much every other series.
Maybe like Denver over Seattle all those years ago with Dikembe.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And the equivalent, not pretty much close to that level. Like not 8 versus 1. Like the biggest one in the last 25 years was the Warriors beating the Mavs, 8 versus 1 in 2007 or whatever that was.
Yep.
But this was up there. And this was heading this direction before Tatum went down. And the Celtics were the better team in this series from a quarter-to-quarter standpoint. But they choked the first 2 games away. They eliminated their margin for error, and they were not able to navigate anything else well beyond Game 3 in that series. And obviously a nice effort in Game 5 without Tatum. But at that point, you have to be perfect, and they clearly were not.
You mentioned margin for error, and we're talking with Brian Robb of Mass Live. That's why I go to Stevens. Like, I know a lot's on Joe Mazzulla right now, right? I mean, I think it's fair, B-Rob. And I wonder if Joe Mazzulla would tell you it's fair. Like, he's been in Boston for 3 years. In the first year, he got his team to a Game 7. They lost. That team lost to an 8 seed, right? Like that at home.
Right.
The next year, it was Brad Stevens and ownership that was like, we're going all in. And they did. And, dude, they were a buzzsaw, right? Injuries aside, they were a buzzsaw. I don't even know if Joe Mazzulla could get in the way of that, I guess is what I'm saying. But I do think that maybe if you look at it this year, his philosophy was good during the regular season. 60 wins, bing, bang, boom, right? The philosophy might be good during the regular season. But he lost people on his bench, X's and O's guys, right? Jeff Van Gundy was a part of it. He helped out the Clippers this year. I just think it might be worth a phone call to a Mike Malone. I'm not saying fire Mazzulla. They're very happy. They said it today. They're happy with Joe. I just think the body of work might, with all the investments they have, it at least might be looked at, don't you think? What is the ceiling?
Yeah, I think it certainly is worth analyzing just how the manner they lost to the Knicks. and how they gave those games away, and then the volatility they invited by continuing to check up threes in those games when there are open spots under the rim, or you could get guys in foul trouble, like the stuff that, like the adjustments that were there to be made on the fly in a few of those spots were not made. And that's not all on Joe. Like that falls on the players too. Like that's the blame. There's plenty of blame to go around that front. But yeah, like when you look at his total body of work right now, it is like 2 of his 3 seasons have ended in pretty ugly fashion. Like the Game 7 loss against the Heat, that was brutal. Last year was incredible for the Celtics, and Mazzulla, pushed all the right buttons and deserves credit for that. This year, in the playoffs, I think was a bumpy ride, and even in that Magic series, I think Joe didn't have put his best foot forward in a few of those spots. So his job is safe. Brad Stevens confirmed as much today. But it's fascinating to see now, like life without Jason Tatum is going to be hard for everyone next year. And that includes Joe Mazzulla. And so how he adapts to the roster Brad Stevens puts in place for him, what that roster looks like, and then how he's judged accordingly next year and beyond will be fascinating to see, because as we've seen around the league, like it's a pretty short rope for a lot of these coaches these days.
B-Rob, your article today on Mass Live mentions the uncertainty grew today for the Celtics' future. I agree. If Brian Robb was the general manager, what would Brian Robb do this offseason?
It's a good one, Joe. I think I'm testing out everything. I'm taking calls on Jaylen Brown. I'm taking calls on even Derek White just to see if I get bowled over with something for either of those guys that I can't say no to. My guess is I would hold the line pretty high to move one of those guys. And if I can't do that, then if I don't find something I like for either of those guys, then I look at moving probably Porzingis and Drew Holiday off the books. And I honestly, Joe, I might think about just trying to get under the luxury tax entirely next season and just do like a close to a full reset while keeping the guys you want long-term with Tatum, but resetting things financially, just so you have the spending power you need in a couple years down the line when Tatum is back healthy, and potentially with some assets to match with wherever you get for Drew and company, to kind of rebuild that way, because I don't think spending big for a team that doesn't realistically have a chance of contending next year makes a lot of sense. And the spending for the team is only going to go up and up and up over the rest of the decade, because those Supermax contracts for Tatum and Jaylen Brown aren't going anywhere. And you're going to have fewer and fewer core pieces left to put around them. So I try to take a pretty big step back next year and then retool to put my best foot forward in 26-27.
Yeah, that was my thought too. I originally said sit both Tatum and Brown, but since Brown's surgery is a meniscus, that's a short injury. He could be back for the regular season. Should be actually back. Do you think, could they be saying good things about Jaylen's injury because they could be shopping him?
No, I mean, like, publicly that probably doesn't hurt. The fact he was, playing for so long, even in the regular season with this, clearly, like, everyone involved knew what was going on, and there was some sort of understanding with it. And teams, medically, they're going to be checking him inside and out if they're making offers on a guy making $55 million a year. But it is, like, I'm fascinated to see how the team handles something like Brad had all good things to say about Jaylen Brown today, which is understandable. Like, why would you do otherwise? But there was nothing super definitive there about the future with anyone. So I don't know how much you could expect for a guy in Jaylen Brown who's been a couple-time All-Star, was the Finals MVP last year, but still has pretty, flaws that become apparent in the playoffs. Like, how much do you blame his performance in Game 6 on his knee, or do you just look at Game 5 and Game 6 and be like, all right, that's kind of just Jaylen Brown, the player, where you don't, he's not as rock solid consistent as you would expect from an all-star in those moments. So it'll be, there certainly is teams that would have interest in him if he's made available, but are they going to cough up enough to convince Brad Stevens to be like, okay, like I have a better chance of moving forward with Jason Tatum and a bunch of young assets and future picks versus, a bona fide all-star in Jaylen Brown. I don't think that's an easy thing for Brad Stevens to walk away from necessarily without the right return package.
Last one for me, B-Rob. The sale of the Celtics should be happening soon. They're going to vote on it, the league. Will the Celtics do anything? Can they do it? Could this hamper potentially some of the moves or, miss out on something because of a transaction? Could that implicate this? Could that impact this season at all, the ownership change?
From people I talk to, Joe, no. This is all like, it's a formality at this point that the Board of Governors approves the sale barring something unforeseen coming up. Like Bill Chisholm has been around the team a ton already. You've seen him courtside at games for weeks now. And so despite, Brad Stevens kind of kicking the can, if you will, and punting on saying, oh, we got to wait till everything's in place. Like, I think he and everyone else has a pretty good idea of where the team's spending power is realistically next year. And nothing's going to change on that front, I expect, in the next couple of months. Like everyone that needs to know will know. And so I think it's just a matter of there's probably 3, 4, 5 different paths they could take, Joe, whether it's, small changes like trading one of Porzingis or Drew or trading a Hauser type or something bigger and more drastic that involves cutting bigger salary and taking away bigger core parts. But there's no easy path or no clear path, I should say, to contention right now. Like there's no simple solution to figure out, okay, where are we going to be at our best in a couple of years with our best player coming off of a serious injury. But I don't expect ownership to impact that much for this summer. I think they'll probably do what they think makes the most sense for the long term. Where I think new ownership will come into play a lot will just be 2-3 years down the line. Like, what is the spending power? Like, how much is this new group willing to put in to the tax in those years when this team is recalibrated? That will matter a lot in terms of how high this team's, contending ability can go.
All right. He's Brian Robb. He works over at Mass Live, covers the Celtics. Now you can enjoy some time off for a little bit. My calendar I had up until June as well. So now it's like, geez, what do we do now?
It's going to be a lot. I think it's going to be busy, Joe. I'm going to cover, I think we're going to be, there won't be trades right away, but I think it's going to be a busy June. Like, this is, I'm going to keep my phone handy, but It'll be nice to, it's weird to be off this early. I don't think I've been off in the middle of May since maybe Kyrie's last year or something like that. So it's a change.
So long ago. Well, B-Rob, we'd love to have you in studio some night when something's really going on. We'll bring you in some night. We'll hang out. We'll, of course, touch
I'm
base.
just down the road here in Waltham, Joe.
I
can be there. I can be there in 10 minutes. So you let me know.
You know what? I'm going to hold you to that. How about that? Mark that on the calendar.
I'll bring some pizza. I'll bring some food.
Oh, in. I'd be surprised what Brian Robb goes to for a pizza. I've been on this one. All right. Well, B-Rob, appreciate you, man. Enjoy some time off, and hopefully it's busy, and we'll catch up soon.
All right. Thanks, Joe.
You got it. He's Brian Robb, everybody. Mass Live does an excellent job over there with the crew. I want that pizza, so come on down. All right, Scavs, we're going to go to break. Let's get to the headlines. Something happened over at Fenway Park that we got to talk about next here on the Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celtics.
And I agree. It's just the McMurray of buns and bread. Mine had chicken in it and everything. Big beefs. Whatever. Red Sox won tonight 3-1, everybody. They were without Alex Cora, and they won. They were flawless. They beat the New York Mets tonight 3-1. Hunter Dobbins got the start, went 4 2/3, took him out after 66 pitches. I give Ramon Vasquez credit for that. Then in comes Justin Wilson with an inning. He got the win tonight. Weiser came in and got one batter with first and third, I believe it was, and then came back out for the next inning. Slayton comes in, got the hold. They got 5 strikeouts from their bullpen tonight. Chapman saved it, his 7th, on 7 pitches, by the way. As far as the offense goes tonight, Bregman, Story, and Durant. Durant with a big night for the Sox at the plate. The story is Alex Cora wasn't here tonight. The Red Sox managed a win. You hear that? Do you hear me stress that one a little bit there, Skaz? They managed a win. That's what happened tonight.
A lot of fake outrage today, Joe. People upset Alex Cora missed the game tonight.
I'm not going to talk about that one. You know why I'm not? Because like other people have already made it. But what I'm saying is I don't love that he's not there. But you know what it opens it up to with this? This is why I never want to miss work when I have no voice, Skaz. You know, like I don't want the next guy coming in. Sorry, Luke. I don't want the next guy to take my job. Right? Look what happened tonight. They managed a victory. Managed. A manager manages. What does Alex Cora do? Fails at managing. Making myself clear, they managed to win tonight with their bullpen, Skaz. The bullpen. No runs. None. Zero. The starting pitcher goes 66 and gave him 4 2/3. Pull him out of the game. Don't put him back out there. They managed it. Ramon Vasquez? Now, don't you think I'm being a hypocrite now? All you people who said the Celtics were better without Jason Tatum, how'd that look? So would I be a hypocrite saying that the Red Sox looked better tonight without Alex Cora? Does that make me a hypocrite? This is where I say, don't cross sports. It's just a regular season game. During graduation season, who cares, right?
I was shocked to find out that some people pretended to care, Joe. Certainly, people that have told us how unimportant Red Sox games are at this point in the year. People I'm not sure have even checked in on the Red Sox yet this season. Very upset Alex Cora is not there tonight. Wish I could say I was surprised by that, but yes, some well-placed outrage, I guess you could call it. Alex Cora not there on a Monday night, May 19th, the end of the world.
I don't care that he's not there. I just find it very interesting how they played tonight without him.
That for sure. I'll give you that storyline. Absolutely. I can't pretend to care that he went to his daughter's graduation.
Agreed. I'll put that to the side.
Yes, I think that's what you should do.
But without the manager, team, they got a guy to manage them to a win.
1-0 without Alex Cora in the Alex Cora era.
Facts. Just facts, guys. Nothing else.
Just got an extension, too, didn't he?
Oh, you guys did, yeah. Uh-huh. Was Veritek a part of this group tonight, by the way? Did you see any Veritek? Was he on the bench? Where was he tonight?
I would imagine he was there.
I'm curious about him.
Heard a nice beer shower for Vasquez after the game.
Oh.
The boys were happy for him.
So you mean to tell me the team was happy after the win?
Appears so, Joe. Appears so.
Because Alex Cora is not there, right?
They're much happier today without him.
Steer it up. Little darling, steer it up. They got to get this team off the ground, man. I said it the other night. They won on that walk-off by Devers. They lost the next game.
They go up 4-3 on a Devers grand slam and
it means nothing.
Fall flat on their faces.
Nothing. It means nothing. Can this mean something? Please? I need it.
We.
That's right. We did it. All right, we got the musings coming up next. I'm pissed off about something. And there's a story we got to tell you about. We'll do that next on the Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray.
on a random take. Murray's got all sorts on stuff in the world unrelated to sports. So sit back, relax, and get your mind in the game and listen to the words of a grown man complaining.
There you go, bro. See? We are going to a whole new world. A dazzling place I never... Called Murray's Musings. Well, I don't know what it is anymore. It's where we do a segment about anything at all. So I got a couple of things tonight. Number one, I haven't mused in a while about something. Mused so much I had to write it down to remember it, Skaz. You made a comment to me off the air tonight, or off the record tonight, actually. Shouldn't say it was off the air. It was off the record. About you got some contacts this weekend. I did too. Okay, ready? Obviously, we work here at 98.5 The Sports. We have public emails, so you can email us, which is, people do email segments. I prefer you to call in. I mean, guys, if there's one thing the night show does, when the people call, they get their opportunity to speak. The guy from the Tyler, remember the guy with the 5 Reddits?
Unfortunately, I do, Joe.
Gave him 6 minutes yesterday on the air.
How did those 6 minutes go?
Well, there's a reaction on my Twitter page if you want to look back at it.
Give me a letter grade, Joe.
Jeff Williams was out. Oh, letter grade? D.
So he didn't pass.
Lifshitz didn't crush him.
I am shocked Jeff made it that long.
Jeff was pissed.
Yes, okay. Well, then I feel good.
No, but he was more about me letting them go.
Of course, yes. I know exactly what Jeff was feeling. Sometimes it's tremendous. Other times, you got to bite the bullet.
Yeah. So, but you know what it is? I hope we get something, Because you got to sink or swim in this world. Okay, this is what I wrote down, and then I'll muse about it. Someone emails me. I actually responded, and they hated my tone. Then I responded, and then they tell me I'm too sensitive. Then I say, call in, don't email me. That's what I wrote. So I got an email from someone who basically was like, bleh! Okay? I then respond with a response. I don't know if you could sense tone in an email. Sir did not like my tone.
I've heard a tone issue once or twice in my life.
But the problem is that I responded to you. So then, you don't like the way I responded to you and then tell me I'm sensitive? So if you didn't like my tone, but I responded, and you didn't like it, who's the sensitive one here? Right? For real. He talked crap to me. I rebutted. He didn't like my tone. He should be happy the fact I even responded. Then call me sensitive. Who's the sensitive one? Then I wrote, you know what, dude? Just call in, will you? Because I don't want to. Don't email me anymore, is what I said to him. If you don't like my tone, just call in.
You apologize, Joe.
No. I'm not even apologizing or being sorry. First off, you didn't like my tone. Second of all, you called me sensitive when you didn't like what I had to say or do at all. You never liked me once. Yet I'm the one with the tone and the sensitivity issues.
I won't apologize, and I'm not sorry.
Yes, damn right. Damn right. This pissed me off today. He wrote me back. I left him on unread.
You should have him with a K. Just the letter K. K'd him.
Oh, you know what's another one that gets me? Oh, don't ever do this to me. Please advise. I haven't had one of those in a long time. I don't work I work here. Please advise. Oh. We talk about marinating. No, that's boiling.
That's an open flame right there.
That is. Please advise. Oh. Why does it bother me so much?
Now everyone knows it does, Joe. Now you've given them bait.
No, but if they do it now, you're going to get the wrath of Joe. Spicy Joe. Anyways, you also got emailed this weekend?
No emails for me, Joe. Just the occasional, DMs. Nothing too over the top. I just thought it was funny. They're always amusing. Fire them away. More than welcome to never respond to any of them. So I appreciate it.
I don't know how you do that. You don't respond.
I don't even really look, to be honest with you.
So are you the guy with like that big number of emails that's never been on the
You could say that, yeah. I mean, the work email's checked. If I'm buying something, I'll check the shipping. But yeah, I'm not diving into the DMs too frequently. Unless you're we had the brokerage babe was giving us a book report at one time. I think that was the last time I was active with a listener there. But yeah, the Celtics. Go ahead. You call in.
Yeah, no, I want the smoke. At this point, I want the smoke. I want to hear how desperate and bad. You know what else I get, dude? I went to a card show this weekend. Card show Joe, and this guy comes up with a take straight up to me, and he goes, and I literally heard Felger and Maz do this bit. So like when he said it to me, I go, "Hey man, you listen to Felger and Maz too much." And he goes, I do. He goes, I really do. I listen too much. I go, they have literally made us a character at night. Like that, you guys think like we are these characters that like,
People think you found me at a Hooters and that I show up to work in green team or footy pajamas, basically.
Yes.
That's my backstory. That's my origin.
Because they're diehard Felger Maz fans.
Well, we did meet at a Hooters. That's not exactly the full story.
Yeah. Scavs was working.
Not at Hooters.
Was working for the Sports Hub.
Yes, I was working a Sports Hub street team
I was
event.
off the clock and part-time at the time. I was actually visiting my friends who I saw this weekend at the Hooters in Dedham. We have a fantasy football party, and we have a blast every year. And Scavs was there, and he says, I just saw all your friends. They were asking about you. And that's when I met Skess. But again, it wasn't like I just met him at the Hooters and said, hey, dude, you want a job?
It's the line cook. It was one of the waitresses.
No, I told you that people have emailed me being like, hey, Joe, I love the story of you and Skess.
I've heard it, too. I've had people say, wow, good for you. From Hooters to the night show.
Brokerage Babe says a regards always works pretty well. I write best. Sometimes. Best. Just not best regards, just best. What's like I need like what's another go? Please advise is real like
I feel like to whom it may concern can be kind of depending on like I feel like that can be sent backhanded because like if you're sending it to like someone that was supposed to be concerned with this and may have dodged some responsibility, you hit them with the to whom it may concern being like, hey, to you, because I know this is you, but luckily I don't really live in that world, so I don't have to deal with that. The one that I see in my group text from my buddies that are dealing with emails frequently is when someone puts a high importance on their email. I know that doesn't go over well with the boys in the office.
Carrie Ann hates my best, by the way, but keep going, I guess.
But yeah, when someone flags something high importance, I think
high importance?
People do not like that. Yes, out on that. Out. Can I give you a slight musing I had this weekend, Joe?
Please.
Did you see Knicks fans?
Yeah.
Celebrating.
Yeah, right. Jumping poles and all that stuff.
Did you see people shaming Knicks fans for celebrating?
I didn't see that. No.
I saw a lot of better than the Knicks, people on their high horses shaming the Knicks fans for enjoying a second round playoff win. Now, I'm not saying they achieved the mountaintop, but you have to, celebrate the wins. That's part of the journey. But there's a lot of Boston, people that we are friendly with,
Yes.
familiar with, Joe, really, really looking down on the Knicks for celebrating this victory.
Yes.
I would just like to remind these people that they're the same people that put Bill Parcells in the Patriots Hall of Fame.
Oh!
So you want to celebrate a guy that quits on your team in the Super Bowl who may have drafted a couple guys that played in a Super Bowl 5 years after he left. Celebrate that. But an actual achievement in the playoffs, don't celebrate that. I just want to keep it consistent,
Yeah.
Joe.
You know, I wasn't really glued to the TV much this weekend. I needed this was a weekend of just like get away from this thing, man. But I have no problem with like when the Philly beat the Pats. I had no problem. Celebrate it. Actually, I've never really ever been like that. You know which one I did get though? No, like when the Magic dropped the graffiti. Or when they won, like, not graffiti, what do you call it? The confetti.
The confetti, yeah, the confetti.
Or like the Colts.
The 76ers.
Yeah. Listen, that stuff is team-driven. Out. Fans being fans, whatever, man.
Let them celebrate. You put Bill Parcells in your Hall of Fame, and you're going to shame people on who they should celebrate.
Do you know who probably would have hated on Knicks fans? Our old intern, Kevin Pumphrey.
Well, that's just Kevin being Kevin.
No,
now.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like he would just like target.
Kevin's in my DMs all the time. He's always blowing me up.
Me too. That's why I think I'm saying this right now.
I got a nice message from Josh after the series. Wished him luck. Good for his Knicks.
Josh, our other intern, Luke, he was a New York Knicks fan. He was here when I believe it was an overtime game. The Celtics lost. Yeah. Madone. That email thing really got me going because I worked for those that don't know, like I've worked here for almost 14 years, but before I got full time, I worked office jobs. So like I'd work an office job 9 to 5 and do this or the weekends, you know.
Were you Joe?
Yeah,
Joseph?
Joe Murray.
Mr. Murray?
Joe Murray won. Well, Mr. Joe Murray.
Mr. Joe Murray.
Yeah.
Mr. Joseph Murray.
No, Joseph. There was always Joe.
When did you become Joey Murray?
That was when there was a bunch of Joe Murrays in my neighborhood. But I would say it was after high school though. But there was a bunch of Joe Murrays like in my There's a lot of Joe Murrays in the hood. I don't know.
You weren't a Joey in high school.
I was a Joey like to women, girls.
Oh, excuse me,
Joey. I was a Joey as a kid, too. But there was a lot of Joe. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There's so many Joey. How about you, Jimmy?
Yeah, never a Jimmy. Not once. Occasional, ribbing. Someone would call me Jimmy. But yeah, always Skaz from like the 4th grade on. James, but yeah, mostly James and Skaz. Never a Jimmy. Not for me. Too many Jimmys. There were.
That's what happened with Saul Goodman.
Too many Sauls?
No, his name was Jimmy. And he changed his name to... Do you know what Saul Goodman means?
I've seen this, but I don't recall.
So his real name is Jimmy McGill. But he rebranded as Saul Goodman. Like it's all good, man.
It's all good.
Saul Goodman.
B minus.
Listen, dude, A+. I think he might be one of the best characters in show history, and he's not even a main character. I don't know if he's the...
It's his show, though, right?
Well, it was a spinoff. So I don't know if he's the antagonist because is he the force against the main character, or is he... I don't know. But he was Walter White's lawyer. Better Call Saul is a prequel. It's the story of Jimmy McGill. And if you watch Breaking Bad, he goes, "Are you Saul Goodman?" He goes, "The name's Jimmy, but for now you can call me Saul Goodman." And if you didn't watch, like that would have went right over your head if you watched it. But if you see Better Call Saul, you're like, "Hey!"
He's on Broadway right now, I think.
Bob Odenkirk, the man.
Did you see that movie, like Nobody or whatever?
The fight, when he fights?
Yeah, he's fighting
I love
everybody.
That movie.
He's fighting people on trains,
I actually thought
buses.
that was pretty decent.
They're making another one.
Really?
I believe so. A sequel.
No, did I love it? No, but it was like, did I enjoy? Like, did it kill 2 hours of my brain doom scrolling time? Yes.
You would have Better Call Saul above Breaking Bad?
Yes. And here's why. The people who wrote Breaking Bad wrote Better Call Saul. Now, this is what I would tell you if you're going to do this. You have to watch Breaking Bad first, then watch the movie El Camino, then watch Better Call Saul. Because Better Call Saul is a prequel, but it goes into the Breaking Bad universe. But you get an ending. Isn't that what you need sometimes? Do you know on this date, 6 years ago, was the ending of Game of Thrones?
Woof.
I haven't thought of it since. Well, I haven't really thought of it since. But yeah, dude, that was bad. If they could do that thing, the show was incredible. I'm telling you right now, Game of Thrones, great show. The ending, the last season, bad. But here's the deal: the book hasn't even been written yet. How are they supposed to make a show? They made it up themselves and it sucked.
The rest is still unwritten, Joe.
Because the rest is still unwritten. Is that The Hills?
It's Natasha Bedingfield. That's all I know.
It is?
I think.
I'm not going to look it up. Birthdays today, Scaz. I didn't even get to our story. Maybe I'll do it on the other side. All right. Here's who we have for birthdays today. It's May 19th. Let's start with Pete Townsend, who's, I believe they're playing their final tour again. 80, he was good. Yes, he was good.
You really sold me. You really convinced me.
Grace Jones, 74 years old. Michael Che, 42, who I've met here at the Sports Hub. Great dude. And they had their 50th anniversary back and forth.
Yes, it was this past weekend. It was pretty good.
I only watched the preview of it because I wanted to play it on Sunday. I sent it to Jeff. He goes, "It's too long, man. I can't do it."
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah, and they brought in Scarlett.
Yeah, she was the host of the episode.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
But I like when they make each other read each other's jokes.
Yeah, twice a year. I think they do it like around the holidays and then at the end of the season.
Yeah, Michael Che was here. I was doing mornings at the time, and he was just sitting on a couch, and I said, "Hey, it's Michael Che." And he goes, "What's up, man?" And he was in, and we talked Saturday Night Live. And I think we had a run of Michael Che, Shane Gillis, because he just got fired from SN. Was it SNL?
Well, he was
in
briefly
between,
hired.
I guess. Yeah, briefly hired. But there was a lot of comedians that were coming, and they were just coming in through the Wilbur and everything.
I saw him open for, I think it was Jon Stewart and Chappelle, and he was hilarious. Wow. He was very good.
So Chris Rock is, honest to God, the best comedian I've ever saw live. I've been to a bunch of Dave Chappelle shows. The only thing I don't like about Chappelle is he's Dave Chappelle, so he's he doesn't write out his comedy bit. You get what I'm saying? He's just Dave Chappelle. Where Chris Rock has a beginning, middle, end, brings you back, and then closes. You know, it's the way they write. Chappelle's just I'm Dave Chappelle, and I'm going to tell you stories as he's smoking cigarettes. You know. Anyways, I've lived the comedy scene, and I love the old timers. They're still my favorites. Sam Smith is 33. JoJo Siwa, who's that?
No idea.
Okay. Andre the Giant.
Wow, Andre. R.I.P.
Who would have thought Andre the Giant and Kevin Garnett have the same birthday?
Couple of legends of the game right there.
How old is Kevin Garnett now?
Born on this date in 76, so he would be 49.
49, ooh. Is KG the best addition to a sports team? Meaning, Tom Brady was drafted, Rob Gronkowski was drafted. Oh, there's
Shaq.
Shaq to the Lakers was okay. What was more impact? Oh yeah, he won multiple. Yeah. All right, never mind. Out. How about Boston sports? Corey Dillon was impactful to winning back to back.
Pedro.
Pedro was impactful.
Manny.
See the only
Ortiz.
Okay. Ortiz, you could say.
Tim Thomas.
Well, he was always with the. He was always here.
Chara.
Chara was big. Okay, Chara is big for like the run.
Physically too, yeah.
He's a big guy. The Kevin Garnett addition was huge for the Celtics. I can't discount it because it's not to be discounted. David Ortiz didn't win his first year, but won his second year. Pedro was dominant, but didn't win until he got chilling.
Rodney.
They'd
already won, though,
Rodney
right?
was impactful. So the Corey Dillon made it back-to-back. That's what made it like... But as 1 year, come in, win, Garnett. Probably like missing somebody really big, too. Oh, well. Any other birthdays today?
I think you got Marshmallow Joe. Did you say that one?
Marshmallow. Hey, Malcolm X was born on this date today.
I always look for like wrestlers. Aubrey Andre the Giant's a big one. I'm not seeing too many. There's a Josh Beckett that was an actor. That's about it, Joe.
Yeah. That's all I got. All right, there's your musings for the night. Please advise.
Jimmy Hoffa Jr.'s birthday today, Joe.
Oh, what did he do?
Jimmy Hoffa? Wasn't he the guy that like disappeared or something?
Yeah, you know the story. He was.
Yeah.
Have you ever saw The Irishman?
Parts. I didn't get through it.
Good movie the second time I saw it. I told you that movie, Napoleon Dynamite. I was excited to see Napoleon Dynamite. I told you the story. And I saw the movie and I was like, I need more. Like, this is boring to me. But then once he started dancing, man, I still can't get over that mitt from Alex Bregman tonight. You know what? I would get that as an oven mitt. The Red Sox, are you listening to me? Wally Oven Mitts. Wally Oven Mitts.
In.
You use the oven, right?
I do occasionally,
When you
yes.
pull it out, what do you use?
Oven mitts.
Why did that make me laugh? We got to go to the headline. Oven mitts. I'm telling you. We got to go to break. Oh, no, we're not going to break. We're going to headlines.
You're listening to Joe. You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening to Joe Murray. Murray pre-party. It's Felger and Maz afternoons right now. Joe Murray.
Bryson and me are like, we're very similar, him and I. We can sing at a certain level. I've actually... I can open your eyes, take you wonder by wonder, over, sideways, and under. I feel like I'm in the shower.
I will say that singing, I had an idea over the weekend, Joe. I won't give too much away, but a man that we saw earlier tonight for the first time in a while.
Yes.
I was thinking about recruiting him for something because out of all the people at the Sports Hub, I think he is maybe the only one that actually has singing talent.
Yes.
He's actually good at singing.
Yes.
So I had an idea for maybe there might be a Jeremy Conley. I might have to ask a favor of him for something while we get into the summer months and the show starts to trend off the rails.
By the way, what do you think is the summer hasn't happened yet, right?
Once the Celtics season is over, it's the summertime.
Well, when does summer officially start? Like, it's Memorial Day weekend, right? Is this like when everybody
Yes,
starts?
this is...
So, like, is this it?
I think so.
We're at what will be the song of summer? Like, is it happened yet?
This is where we have to go to Luke, I think.
What would, like, right now, right? What would be the tops? I don't even know if I could do a top 40 right now. Number one song top 40. Here we go. I'm just going to have some fun with this one. I'm just going to go, okay.
We're getting
the
Luke,
Kendrick Lamar SZA.
That's isn't that like older though?
Well, it's number one.
We need something new. Jim.
Yeah, I need some new.
Luke's saying it's too early to call it. Too early for Song of the Summer, which I can agree with.
Okay. Maybe there's something from like the Happy Gilmore movie.
I'm not going to bank on Song of the Summer being. Maybe we get a Bad Bunny track.
Well,
though.
we got Bobby.
Bad Bunnies and Happy Gilmore.
That's right.
So maybe.
Well, the Barbie movie had the Dua Lipa
dance.
Yeah.
Dance the night away, Joe.
Dance the night away.
She was also in the movie, I believe.
Watch me
dance.
See, that was a big one.
I already have a couple ready to go for Joey Murr's summer hits.
Yes.
Yes, I have a couple ready to go.
We have to mark a date for that. Joey Murr sings the summer hits.
Maybe around the 4th, maybe. It feels somewhere around there.
Yeah.
As long as Tyler Sagan doesn't get traded again.
Summer hits. It is funny, like when summer begins, but like when does it end? July 4th? Like if summer begins now, does it end on July 4th?
No, summer ends like mid-September for me.
Do you know what's the best time to like go away? It's that like week 1 of football. Now I'm here. I'm screwed. But like
preseason week 3.
But when the Pats used to play the opening night on Thursday, dude, and we worked Pats, you get that nice little long weekend off right there. That Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, no Pats. The weather's the best. It's September, but it's like still summer.
I don't know if this is a hot take, Joe, but spring I think is the worst of the seasons. Spring doesn't do much for me. I'd take fall, winter, summer over spring in that order. Out on spring.
Winter, spring, summer, or fall. All you got to do is call. All right. Let's see. What does our rundown say here? So we started off with the Celtics, Missoula's future, Brad Stevens, Red Sox moments missed, Patriots OTAs, Marchand and the Leafs. Oh, we didn't do conference finals in the NBA yet. Don't care about those pitching numbers yet. You can do more Red Sox here. 10:30, or is this 10:20 we're in still? Brad Stevens. Oh, I'll do this quickly. You know how I said the Red Sox need to have a certain amount of wins through 40 games to make the playoffs? The total was 22.5. They went under. How about 50 games? So right now, the Red Sox are 23-25 after tonight's game. Actually, let me just refresh. They're 24-25. Sorry, 24-25 after tonight's win. So how is it from the first 50 games what their records would be? The over-under is 26.5. So, Skez, they would have to win tomorrow and the next game to be on pace. But first 50 games of a season, over-under 26.5, there's been 17 seasons since 1980 with 26 or fewer wins. Those equated to 0 90-win seasons and only one playoff appearance. That was 1988. I believe that was Morgan Magic. They started 25-25 that year. In 28 seasons, they had 27 or more wins, guys, at 50 games. 16 were 90-plus win seasons. 16 were playoff appearances. So the number's legit. Right now, they're under. Now, they're just off, though. They're just off. And again, should I add in the wild card, the extra wild card? Does that help them now? Does that give them a benefit of the doubt here? All the expectations of the Red Sox, in the end, there needs to be wins. Tonight was a good moment, right? They won without Alex. Saturday night, they won on Rafael Devers. The moments are great. Can we get more wins? I think that's where I'm at, Skess. I know I'll keep yelling, throw the gas, not the ass. But, hey, the clicks are great. Can you win? Does the team know how to win? And by the way, they managed themselves to a win tonight without their manager. And they celebrated. Steer it up. Little. Yes, I'm steering it up. And I will be a hypocrite when you said that the Celtics are better without Tatum. Well, I'll tell you this much. The Red Sox tonight were better without Cora. I'll leave it at that. 617-779-0985. We're here till 11 o'clock tonight. We'll get the headline. I'm Joe Murray, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox 3-1 winners tonight. They did it with their pitching. 5 innings from the bullpen. No runs. 5 strikeouts. It was great. people from the team because we got to go through the team, and then So if you know a guy, it's good to know a guy, and then we'll just ask him, or a gal, or anybody. I wanted to share this story in Musings because I thought it was great. So I figured I'd do it now because why not, right? By the way, getting back to that burger that's a grilled cheese, I think there should be 3 patties on there. I've decided.
You've gone from 2 to 3?
You know what I want? I want a Wendy's. Does Wendy only make the one size burger?
Joe, this is a question I feel like I should be asking you.
Well, I don't know. I'm thinking yes.
Well, I'm thinking no, because don't they have like the junior versions of stuff?
The junior bacon cheese,
have
and
to
then
be
the
smaller.
son of, yes.
The son of the Baconator.
The Baconator.
Yeah, how could we forget? Are they going to do like a father of the Baconator with like extra bacon, extra patties?
Well, here was what I was thinking. Maybe like a Whopper size burger in the middle. And then on the other side, you put the smaller bun, the juniors on those. So it's kind of like you got a big... You know what I mean, though, right? Put the little burgers with the grilled cheese and put the big beef in between both. Never mind. Also, I didn't see these. I wish I saw this earlier, but Jeff checks in. My office email or text hate is any use of FYI. Sometimes I get emails that just say FYI. I hate.
Not a fan of that one?
I don't like emails. I think that's where I've decided I'm at. Because everything's passive aggressive, right? Everything is. Sometimes I send you stuff. And actually, I write rundown.
Yeah, I mean,
but no. Sometimes it says no subject.
I get the. My favorite part of, and Joe sends a very detailed rundown every night. But my favorite part is Yahoo now does this thing where I will get like the AI summary of the email, and it's like usually it's pretty detailed, and then every once in a while it'll just be like Joe is something about Wendy's grilled cheeseburger or something like that.
Well, what does it say tonight?
I'll take a look.
I'm actually kind of interested. But FYI, I mean, I saw Jeff the other night. Oh, no, somebody had a taillight out. And I said, hey, FYI, your taillight's out.
Might have been Street Team, Joe. I forget. But yeah, I do remember that.
But I did drop an FYI, but I felt like it was informative, right? Isn't it for your information? Ooh, that's a tricky one.
I think because I've already clicked into this email so many times, the description is gone.
I sometimes like the chat descriptions.
Yes, we get those every once in a while.
Where do they go?
There was one. What after the game the other night where the chat thought I was playing for the Celtics. I don't know if you saw that one.
How do I find that?
I think it just randomly aggregates sometimes.
I've been teasing this damn story all night and I haven't done it yet. It's this person that... What happens if, like, you placed a bunch of bets on an app and you die?
I did see this story.
What happens? Like, if I put bets in on DraftKings for the season. Okay, let me use another phrase. If I put bets in on an app and die, and they're season bets.
And they hit, you're saying?
They hit or lose. What happens?
Well, you've already paid if they lost, right?
Oh, yeah, it's gone.
You paid.
Yeah,
you placed the bet.
It's gone. See you later, big boy.
Done.
That's why the apps, you have to buy into the bets. When you go through an online situation, it's credit, which means nobody would get paid, which depends on who you're using that situation, but that's a different story for a different day. A Massachusetts widow requested to void 9 of her deceased husband's future bets on the Celtics. One woman in Massachusetts is happy that the Celtics lost. A Massachusetts widow decision in March to request several of her late husband's bets on the Celtics voided has paid off as the New York Knicks dispatched the Celtics. Her request ended up being a financially sound one, as DraftKings agreed to void the bets and return the original $106,000. What? I didn't read that part. They refunded $106,000? First off, who is this guy?
That was my question.
So, like, if you win, you have to, like, count that as income. Like, wow. The Mass Gaming Commission, on March 7th, requested 9 future bets placed on the Celtics either be voided, legal counsel notified DraftKings. This is where prop swap comes in, don't you think? Hey, prop swap. Got these bets. My husband died. How do we settle? Is this good on DraftKings?
I mean, it's hard to say.
They would have won the money.
It's hard to say no, it's not.
They
when
lost
you're
$106,000.
refunding $106,000.
They lost $106,000.
But so my other question, Joe, is would they have paid it out, though, if they hit?
Oh, because maybe there's like some discretion. Because it would go to an account, but like you have to deposit it from the app to the account.
And it would be his
Would the
account.
bank accept the money because it's such a large purchase?
So that I wonder, that would be my question.
That's a lot of hands.
Certainly is.
That's a lot of hands.
A lot of oven mitts for those hands.
A lot of Wally mitts. That, this is the stuff I think that we need more reporting on. I am not a reporter. Okay? Luke, you could learn this tonight. We need more, like, betting journalists.
Might have to call our guy Ben.
Oh, Ben's all over. He's on Yahoo. He's killing it now.
Yeah.
Doesn't need us anymore. I call him. He's like, I'm busy. True
We'll
story.
get him back.
Oh, I know. I'm busting his balls. I'm happy for him. He got his job. I think he said he used a lot of our stuff on it. So
good.
Thank you, Ben. You're welcome, Ben. But I do think there needs to be more journalists. Like, this is a great story. Like, what does happen? What do you do in this situation? Like, you got a lawyer up in this case? Saul Goodman. His license plate was lawyer up. They satisfied the requirements under state statute, whatever. $106,000. Oh, and the extra $100 to the estate.
It's above my pay grade, Joe.
Way above our pay grades. Well, that's it for tonight, everybody. We had a great night. Luke, it was his first night. He'll be back this week, and we'll have more for him to do. Thank you, everybody, in our chat tonight. Excellent job, everybody. Thank you for hanging out. We'll be here every single night now, 7 to 11. Guests, games, fun, and more. For James Caramazino, Luke, our intern, I'm Joe Murray. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. And again, this hour of the Sports Hub is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com to save 15% off your next drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. We got a full show tomorrow night. We'll talk to you guys then. I'm Joe Murray here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5 The Sports.